April 23rd, 2019, 6:30 p.m. meeting of the Board of Appeals for the Town of Easton. My name's Michael Spillane. I'm the chairman of the board. The first thing we have, part of our business meeting, is a request for an extension to special permit number 1718 at 466 Foundry Street, Easton, Mass, Cedar Point LLC. You don't have to stand there, but if you can grab the microphone at least and just tell us why you're here and what you're looking to do.
Good evening. My name is Michael Heichel. I own the property at 466 Foundry Street, and I purchased it about a year and a half ago. And last year I had heard about the sewer extension coming through on 106, which is going right by our my property. So I was in hopes to waiting for a sewer connection. I was requesting an extension.
You're requesting an extension of the special permit?
Special permit, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And just for members of the board so that they understand, the permit itself was granted in October of 2017. We have a letter from the Planning and Zoning Board dated March 26th. On March 25th, the Easton Planning and Zoning Board considered the request to extend the special permit duplex approval as shown on the plan. Planning and Zoning Board voted 5-0 to approve the extension of the special permit duplex for 466 Foundry Street, which then expires on September 11th, 2019 for 2 additional years. So it will now expire on September 11th, 2021. So you're looking for a 2-year extension on
Yes.
our permit as well, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Jeremy and Ed, you both participate on this one because Tim wasn't here when we started.
None for me.
John?
No questions.
Steve?
None.
None? Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion we approve the extension for 2 years, coterminous with that of the planning board.
Well, it's actually, ours is dated a little bit later, so it would be an extra month for whatever that's worth, but, okay,
I would still do it coterminous with the planning board just for continuity.
that's fine.
I'll
And-
second that.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Curran. Any discussion? No? All those in favor? 5-0. You're all set.
Thank you.
Sure. All right.
Okay, sign, pass around. We'll do 'em as we go.
6:35 hearing, variance number 19-2, Craig Dwyer. Applicant is seeking relief from dimensional regulations to construct solar parking canopies on the premises for property located at 250 Foundry Street. Members sitting on this hearing, to my far right, Stephen Merlin, to his left, Tim McCall, to my left, John Curran, and to his left, Ed Watson. Ask the secretary to read the announcements and, or any.
I'll just read the comments. You read the announcement.
Public
already.
hearing and, well, you read that and then
Okay.
any comment, any additional comment.
All right, the Easton Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April 23rd, the Easton Town Hall, Colleen Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Northeastern, Mass. The following petition at 6:35 p.m. Variance Craig Dwyer for property located at 250 Foundry Street, Easton, Mass. Assessors map 16R, lot 29. For a variance pursuant to Easton Code Book, Chapter 235 zoning, Section 235-49. Applicant seeks relief from dimensional regulations to construct solar parking canopies on the premises. This notice is also available at the masspublicnotices.org. The following boards have commented on this proposal. Conservation is outside of their purview. Board of Health recommended. Water Division was not applicable. Historical Commission had the following comments. The northern side of this section of Foundry Street contains several properties eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places and proposed for national NR listing and inclusion in a local historic district. The proposed project may have an impact on the setting of the abutting historic resources, the location, design, and screening of the 2 roadside transformer installation, as well as a potential large-scale vegetative screening on the northwest solar array should be more fully considered. The fire department The fire department has reviewed the plans for the variance at 250 Foundry Street and has no concerns. Affordable housing, not applicable. Police, recommend. Those are all the comments.
All right. If you can just grab the microphone there as well.
That last guy didn't sound very loud.
It's not for us, it's for the television.
Well, thank you guys for having us here tonight. Craig Dwyer, representing Green Street Power Partners. We've been working on this project for some time, since about late 2017, and going through utility reviews and going through the various process with the state rebate program for solar. Now we've come to a point when we have everything else we need to go forward and construct this array for Southeastern Regional VOTEC. We're excited about the project. The reason we're in front of the board today is because this project is being considered right alongside of large ground-mounted solar farms pursuant to 235-49. And we would like to, discuss the current layout that we've proposed, which I'll show. Basically, if we look on, we'll go back here so we can see it better dimensionally. On the northwestern side of the array, up by the street, we are pretty close to the road there. So 235-49, if we treat this as a ground-mounted solar farm, wants us to be 100 feet back from the road. Our original design was proposed as such, which has us about 25 feet back from the road. We've since taken that front row of panels out, which I'll show on the site plan in just a moment. If we look up here, that row has been removed in our most recent site plan. Down here, we are at the 100 feet from the road, so most of what's up for discussion is that northwestern portion of the array off Foundry Street here. So I'll just run through a couple of these images to give everybody an idea of the view from Foundry Street. So that again is that large lot with the buses. We're in discussion about this section down here. So this will be this was our original design proposal. Again, just about 25 feet setback off the road. The equipment here at the roadside is necessary to tie into the distribution infrastructure to National Grid, to the utilities distribution infrastructure. So that's why we have the substation or the concrete pad and our electrical equipment located there. We have provided, trees, an aesthetic buffer to that. Everything's fenced in. But this is what we're ultimately looking to determine whether or not we can proceed with this row, and this row is actually still at 56 feet. So in our most recent design, we've since cut out this row here, but we're still at, and we've actually cut this as well to be at 56 feet here. The issue is if we trim this project any further, we are going to substantially have to change the economics of the deal for Southeastern Regional VOTEC, and a project that we've worked on for a really long time may not have a path forward from the utilities end and from the school's end. I'll show you guys the other plans here. 1 second.
While you're doing that, what was the plan that was presented to and voted on by the planning board the other night?
This plan here. So we, the renderings that we had done incorporated our original design. So the only difference between this here and the renderings is that first row. We've removed that first row from the site plan. So what you're seeing here is the utility equipment on the ground necessary for tie-in. We have the visual buffer around that, the tree line. And that row was in our previous set of plans. Under guidance from planning, they recommended that before we come before the Board of Appeals, we remove that row to give it a little more distance from the road.
Is there a reason why the transformers have to go there as opposed to relocating them somewhere else on the property?
Sure. So the transformers do need to be located as close as possible to the point of interconnection to the distribution infrastructure. Otherwise, that raises costs for interconnection. And this project is, on a fairly tight budget, and we're trying to, create the best possible deal for the school. So, in the interest of giving them the best possible deal, we wanted to design a project that could yield the best economics for them. Locating the equipment there is kind of essential. The costs run pretty high the further you get from tying into those lines. We're open to the idea of, per the historical comments, we're open to the idea of adding additional aesthetic buffer for this in terms of landscaping, that kind of thing. It is facing the northern side of the array up there, so the solar panels generally get their exposure to the south. So we are able to, add some aesthetic buffer to the north side if it's helpful.
You don't have a diagram of that, so do you?
What's that?
This other buffer that you would put in. So I'm looking at something, but I don't have a picture of what you're doing. If you wanted to add the other buffers that the historical commission thought might be beneficial.
Sure. We're open to recommendations. This is what we currently have proposed, minus this row here. So it would just be the buffer around the electrical equipment there.
You just said you were open to additional buffers, or did I misunderstand?
No, I'm sorry about that. I said we're open to the idea of adding additional landscaping if it's helpful to obtain a variance in this scenario.
I think it's more if we want them to add it,
Yeah.
that they would be willing to.
So this is a long-term partnership too, and we do like to be good neighbors in every community that we're in. So, we're long-term owners and operators of these projects. So we'll be owning and operating the project on behalf of the school. So for us, that's why I say we're open to the idea. We do want, curb appeal is important for these projects, and we want the school to reap the benefits, but also the community to feel comfortable with the location of the project as well. So,
What is the benefit? If you could talk a little bit about that, what's the benefit to the school?
sure. So they'll see electric savings, and they'll also see a lease payment for the grounds. You also get to protect the cars from the elements. I mean, really, the way the bylaws are written, 235-49, it's more for large-scale ground-mounted solar projects, which I definitely understand, having a 100-foot setback from the road, that kind of thing. First and foremost, this is a parking canopy. It's really a solar project second, right? So if they wanted to build, covered parking over the lot, I mean, this serves the exact same purpose as building covered parking over that lot. The only difference is that, the roof of that parking canopy is now producing clean energy, which is going to create savings for them. And it's also going to, yield an annual lease payment for the school as a way of them sharing in the project's long-term cash flows.
I have a question. Why not build the entire thing on the other side?
That's a great question.
You have a bus farm here, and then I see there's some wetlands off to the corner that you might encroach on, but you're basically on hardscape anyway, so it's not, I wouldn't think the Conservation Commission would find too many problems, because you just basically have a parking lot over there, and you already have the infrastructure set up there. That's a transformer array there on the
Yep.
upper left, right?
Yep.
So you could, a lot of that would just be moved off, so why not do that? Was that considered, or is it just not enough panels, or?
So that's a great question, and it was considered. And as we look at this just from a Lego blocks standpoint, it's a great idea. From an interconnection standpoint, these are actually two separate interconnection applications that were filed for the project. So tailoring this, if we were to double the project size in that lot, if we were able, could delay the project up to a year, which essentially would be, prohibitive to the state program and allowing this to go forward. Additionally, we do have some natural heritage priority habitat in this back corner, which is kind of a critical item. Can also delay the project even longer, which, by that time we would likely not have the opportunity to proceed forward with the state program. Wetlands aren't so much the concern. Like you said, it is already, it's already developed. We're on top of concrete over there. I don't think that's so much the concern as encroaching on the priority habitat there. We did get approval from Natural Heritage that given our current footprint in that lot, we do not have to, there's no further studies required from them. One, with the utility timeline, two, encroaching on natural heritage, priority habitat. I think that it's probably, not going to be something that's possible for this project.
John, any questions?
No.
I noticed you've obviously been doing this for a couple of years because you got a lot of different dimensions going on, and you got the array that's being deleted shown on your display here. But just so I'm sure about the setback, the one in the northwest corner, the closest one is going to be 56 feet.
I'll pull that up again for you, Ed. Hang on 1 second.
Okay, you're at 53.7 and then 56.
56.1 and then.
And then you were going to back the 53.7 up to 56.
Yes,
Okay, so you're at 56.1
correct.
in the northwest corner.
Yep. And we can head down to the southwest if you'd like.
Yeah, just to.
Yeah, get the
Because I
numbers.
got a lot of different. I just want to make sure what the actuals are.
For sure.
And to tell you the truth, I can't read that one.
Let's see.
$77.11.
Yep.
That's really my only question. Thank you.
Right now? No. All right. I'm going to open it up to members of the public. I'll ask if anybody has anything to say, that you come up here, use the microphone. If you have questions, direct them to the board. We'll ask the applicant to respond if it's appropriate. Anybody have anything that they would like to speak about? Go. In the back there, sir. You need to come up here and use the microphone, please. Introduce yourself and name and address.
Harold Gershman. I'm sorry.
Microphone
Dwyer.
there.
I'm Harold Gershman, and I live right across the street from this entrance. So this entrance right over here, the traffic is horrendous because people are going in and out of that entrance. It's terrible. And now you're going to cover that up, and traffic is going to be even harder because they're not going to be able to see because of that canopy. And I'm surprised because we've asked, can you zoom that back out a little bit, please? The other one where you've got your utility thing there. Yep. We asked a while ago when they put in for the Pop Warner Field.
Can you talk into the
Oh,
microphone?
I'm sorry. When we asked them to put in the Pop Warner Field, there's another gate down there for a fire and emergency. Why can't that, what do you call it? The transformer be beyond that? Why does it be right up here where we need to be? Why does this whole thing need to be really up here? I like that other question. Why can't it be down, truly down at the other parking lot? That's what's bothering us.
Okay.
What's your address, sir?
243, right here. right across the street.
So I think you addressed the why doesn't it work in the back corner on the last question. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add to that.
Yeah, I can.
But cost and time, that's their issue. I mean, that's really,
Understood, understood. Let me ask you this, what's the height of the transformer array there?
6 feet.
6 feet, okay.
Take 5 to 6 feet.
The one we put in, excuse me.
Come on up, introduce yourself, name and address.
So my name's Scott Nelson. I'm the facilities director at Southeastern Regional. Okay, we just did a solar array up on the roof, which we put into operation back in August. We put in a new transformer in the courtyard. Our transformer is 5 foot tall.
Okay.
Okay, so some of you folks I do know. Jamie, I met you. If you have issues or concerns with the school, all you have to do is reach out. I'm there 7 days a week. And if there's something I can do to help you out, I'm more than happy to do so. Okay? There's, you know, for us, there's certain limitations that we have by rules and regulations by the state and by the Conservation Committee. We have variances and buffers. So we're really kind of limited on our growth and where we can put this. We did look at this quite a bit because we wanted to put it all down in the back corner as well. But we don't have tie-ins. There's no way for us to tie it in. There's existing construction, there's undergrounds, there's, you have all the water that gets taken away, which comes across from the street on your side of the road that comes through my property and loops back underneath. We would have to relocate a lot of that drainage down in that bus lot because that's where it goes to the far corner. So that's part of the reason why we can't go out into that bus lot area.
Thank you.
If the transformer is 5 to 6 feet high, how tall is that buffer fence there from this? Is it as high as the transformer or lower?
The buffer fence is 6 feet high. 6 foot high chain link fencing with slats with the landscaping
Oh,
around
so
it.
it's the chain link there, not that.
Not this one. This is
Okay.
chain linked with the slats for visual
So-
coverage,
so
right?
what's that smaller fence there? What's that for?
That's a 3-foot fence that's in
I think that's there now.
That's there now?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
in existence.
Okay.
Okay.
How far is the transformer setback?
Transformer setback, I believe. Double check the site plan here. Don't believe we have that number specified on the plan set here.
Can we agree it's not much?
We can agree that it's not much. That's
Okay.
fair.
Okay. Sir?
How you doing? I'm Bill Colantoni. I live at 247 right across from this northwest corner. I guess we have a couple of concerns.
Spell your last name?
Colantuone. We make a lot of concessions for the school. We bought the property 10 months ago. The traffic, the lights that are in our window from dusk to dawn, the dumpsters that are being pulled out of here at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And now we were talking about maybe developing those properties into the National Historic Society and all of that good stuff. We sat in a meeting last November and looks like they want to move forward with that. I look at this here, and I quite honestly, the noise of the generators that are going to be transformers that are going to be buzzing in the middle of the night, the appearance across from a property that all of us have taken pride in trying to restore back into a historical banner. Quite honestly, I don't like the look of it, and I really just don't want it in my front yard. And I appeal to any one of you people on the board, would you want this in your front yard? Because that's what I'm looking at, literally. And not happy about it, to be honest with you. We have enough problems up there right now with the traffic and everything else that we make concessions for, and now you're asking us to look at generators with stockade fence around it and chain link fence around it and canopies. And as technology changes, what happens 10 years from now when solar goes obsolete? What's going to be the next thing? And I guess the big question is where does the school sit right now as far as solar? I mean, are you 70%, 80%, 90%? What is this going to bring you to at that point there?
I guess when you say where does it bring the school in terms of solar,
What is the solar running at? What is the school running right now with solar capacity? You just made reference, you got solar panels up there right now, and you just made them. So where is the school right now as far as solar?
I'd have to review. I don't want to give incorrect figures without having all the numbers in front of me right now.
On a bright sunny day, we're at approximately 60%.
And this will bring you to 100 on a sunny day?
It'll bring us to about 98. But we also operate a cogen. Okay, so this will allow us to, which is a cogenerator is a generator that runs on natural gas, makes electricity, and it helps heat the school. As a byproduct, we pull the heat off of that. But we make our own electricity from that. So part of the thing for us with the solar array was that that's going to allow us to be able to shut down the cogen, which is an annoyance to you, it's an annoyance to me. So in the wintertime, I would turn it on, because I'm generating heat from it, the byproduct. During the summertime, I gain nothing from it other than electricity and a large gas bill.
I mean, you've seen the properties that are up there.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now,
I do,
and you
yeah.
know that.
You guys,
Would
you have to use a microphone.
Curious, I mean, would this be something that you want to look out your front window to every day is the question, I guess, you know? I mean, quite honestly, I mean, we're.
Yeah, so to me, it wouldn't bother me because of the technology and knowing what's coming from it.
Okay, but.
And that's just me.
But we don't get any benefit from this here, other than it's dampening our view, it's making aesthetically, the house is just, the values, whatever you want to call it. This is just not appealing at all, no matter how you slice it, unfortunately. And this is literally, 100, 150 feet from my front door, and it's not appealing at all by any means.
One question I have before you move on, just curious, if this was not solar and the school had wanted to put canopies over the parking just for shelter purposes, do you know what the setback requirement is for that?
It specifies in the bylaw for carports at a residence. It does not.
Nothing for commercial property?
It doesn't specify for commercial. It's, I believe, 10 feet from the 10 feet from the front of the property for a.
For residential?
Residential canopy. This is
I didn't-
obviously a different.
Right. I didn't know if it was addressed for commercial purposes somewhere. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think to follow up on some of the items that were just mentioned, one of the things that he mentioned was noise with reference to those transformers. Is there some noise associated with the operation of those transformers?
No, so there's going to be virtually no noise coming off of these as you get more than 10 yards away from the thing. You're going to hear more noise in general coming off of the power lines themselves that hum. So these transformers, I mean, we can show you various studies on the noise as you get further from these, but it's virtually noiseless coming from these transformers, no more than you'd hear on any transformer that you see in a local residential subdivision.
Do you have a decibel rating?
Not handy, but we can produce that for the board.
And another follow-up, and this gets back, I guess, to the comments from the Historical Commission and the idea of a buffer. Did they get into any kind of specifics with you in terms of where they wanted to see that placed?
They did not, no.
So that, looking at the photograph up there that you have up on the monitor, were they looking to put the buffer just around where the transformers are? Did they want it to run the entire length of, say, that wooden picket fence?
I hear a number of concerns, visually, and I can understand if it's directly across from your home. That's why I mentioned that we'd be comfortable in this situation taking a visual buffer and adding, this is on the northern side of the array, so it's not affecting production at all. We could add a row of Leyland cypress, to appease the historical society here, and additionally to, preserve this corner and really almost an L-shaped row of Leyland cypress. So now when you look across, you're seeing a row of, really dense bush coverage that would go to, grow to the height of the array on the northern side without affecting production, but it would still, probably, improve the aesthetic, I think.
What happens to the project if you take this this whole front section out and just leave it down back by the bus lot. I mean, what are you going to get percentage-wise out of the project at that point there? And that setback down there is a little more less visual than this here, which is right on the street, quite honestly.
Sure. So, taking this front piece off of the project is going to reduce it about 50% in project size, and in doing that, it would substantially change the economics of the deal, potentially to the point where the project no longer makes sense at the terms we have come to agreement on.
Even with the solar panels on the roof now?
Solar panels on the roof is not part of this project. That's a previous project.
Did you want to add something? Yeah, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Smith. I live at 261 Foundry Street. This is my husband. We can certainly appreciate the 2 years that you've committed to this design. Our home is over 200 years old. And if you pan out, because this picture to me is biased, because if you pull out, you're going to see some lovingly restored homes. And I'm sure you've all gotten calls asking if you want to have solar panels put on your home, what a great benefit that will produce. And we have always said no. And if you notice, all the homes of the people in our neighborhood, none of us have solar panels on our home because we want to preserve the beauty and give honor to the homes that we live in.
The historical value that's there on the homes.
The first families of Easton lived in our homes, and we have been spending years making these homes lovingly restored. So to see this really gives me pause, because someone who loves school, I'm a professional educator, teaching for over 20 years. I understand the sanctity behind the solar panels, but I honor the history more. And I'm sure there's a better way to be off the grid than producing this mass structure. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, all of our homes are very historic. I don't know if any of you are aware of the history of the homes along here. Previous to the town even being known as Easton, Massachusetts, which it was known as the Taunton North Territory, which was an original purchase, of course, way back when land was being purchased by the government from the Native Americans. And the first settlers into the area of the town, which is now Easton, in 1696, were the families that lived in amongst these homes. This was the territory that they settled into. And our homes, which eventually were built for the families. Some of the families that were in there were the Hayward families, and of which we have one of the descendants of the Hayward family right over here who still lives in the homes. And there's a graveyard up the street, which is on Morse Road, which is very historic, and all of the Hayward families, as well as some of the other families in town. There are some Ames family members that are in that historic graveyard as well. They've all lived in and raised their families in these historic homes, and I know we're up for being on the historic register in town as well. Hopefully very soon. These homes have been overlooked for a long, long time. There's also, I found a Civil War bayonet in our house that belonged to Albert Hayward, who fought in the Civil War. He's one of the sons of Easton. And we found lots of little interesting artifacts that go with the town, and I'm sure all these other people here too have found some very interesting things too in their homes. And that's one of the concerns, obviously, is the history of the homes and the history of what they are, and that we've all tried to retain the value and the look by keeping them wood shingled, and without being on a board and without talking with each other, we've all tried to retain the value and the look of our historic homes. Somehow that's just happened over all the years, and even the previous owners before us had done the same. So when you drive by these homes, you see a beautiful historic area, as you would driving down to Plymouth. You go through some of the towns like maybe Halifax or those other towns. You always notice a certain row of houses that have historic value, and it gives you a certain feeling, and you go, oh, there's some beautiful historic homes. And we just feel that this is going to take away a lot of that historic value. You're going to drive by and you're not going to look at the homes anymore. You're going to go, wow, look at that 14-foot high structure over there. And my other issue beyond the historical part of the homes is, I know you say that the transformers are quiet. I've been in construction for 30 years. Transformers are not quiet. transformers hum, especially late at night when it's quiet on a cement pad. They reverberate through the earth, and you get this low droning hum, like a truck running all night long. With them that close to the road, we're right across from that fence that you see right there on the northern corner. We would hear it, I guarantee. We hear the generator. Sounds like a truck running all night long. He said he has that generator running constantly. Yeah, we hear that all the time. So that's our other concern. Another concern would be not the solar glare, as he's pointed out, that they'd be pointing away from the houses, but there's going to be LED lighting up underneath. We already have lighting that is pointing at our homes, and it's a beacon all night long from the parking lot lighting that's on the other side of the lot. This would just add to that overlighting of the area that it drives us crazy, believe me. So those are some of our concerns, and as the project goes along, who knows what else might pop up. So I think this northern section especially is going to be very impactful on our homes, along with the impact of what the school has already put on us with, like, as some of them have mentioned, the traffic, especially during an event at the school. They don't have enough volume for parking, that people park up and down the street, sometimes in our driveways, sometimes on our lawns. It gets crazy. So, there's a lot of things that the school impacts us already, and we're just trying to cut down on that. We have zero impact on the school. I know he said something about the water runoff, but I think a lot of that has to do with the huge parking lots that they have. So those are really most of, I think.
Excuse me. Wow.
And,
My fault.
the one thing I can equate it to is, the history of our homes. Would you put a Home Depot next to the Statue of Liberty? That's how we feel. You know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't fit. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yep. Hal?
I just want to add one more thing about,
Get in the microphone.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's the signage that's existing today. There's a little sign on the street for 106 that says entrance only. That's like 12 by 12. And on the other side, it says not an exit. That's hidden by a tree that they've planted. The signage is terrible around there to begin with. So it's just another thing to add right to that northern corner. It's awful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have another follow-up meeting with the historical commission, or you've already got approval, or?
No, we have another follow-up meeting that we are in the process of scheduling with the Historical Commission.
Well, I think personally, I'd like to maybe continue to see what kind of landscaping plan they could come up with to mitigate this. Maybe push that thing back a little bit, have it covered by trees. You're taking the one row out, and you're taking a piece of the other thing. So I'd like to see what that would look like before I make a ruling myself. I don't know how the rest of the board feels. And also, if you could revisit looking at that other section, I mean, because some of these, I know you don't want to get it, because this is, when you go back to that left-hand corner, this is the wetland area.
Yep.
The ECAC's back into the far corner, correct? I mean, you still have a little bit of room here that you could, put, lengthen some of those. When you take that whole row out, now you only got 1, 2, very small row. Then you have a larger row in the back, and you've reduced the side. So, I mean, perhaps you could get at least as much there to make it economically viable. At least look into that, because I mean, that's the way I feel.
Hang on.
Sherry Wester, 247 Foundry Street. I welcome any of you, when you go out and look at this, to come to our house. We live right across the street. I'd love to take you through the home. It's a wonderful place. So before you make your decision, please come ask us. We welcome you to come through the house. I think I don't know about my other neighbors, but I certainly welcome you at mine and Bill's house, because it is beautiful. The people have really preserved it. It's gorgeous. And to look at this is so disappointing. I can't even tell you. So please, before you make your decision, come knock at the door. I'll take you through.
Thanks.
Be more than
Thanks.
happy to.
Thank you.
Somebody else?
Steve? Oh.
Hi, Rick Martin, Martin Terrace, Northeastern. It's quite a ways away from you people, but I side with a lot of you. Couple quickie questions. Is there any plan, local or state, to widen 106?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And the transformer planting, does that affect anybody's visibility as they pull out, as we know they do?
Yes.
Or is it a hazard there or not? Should it be pushed back further? And when you plant around it, is that going to make it hard? We have a lot of intersections in Easton with their blind corners. And will the electronics or anything involved there affect radio reception?
I don't know. I would doubt it, but do you want to address that?
I just had one question too. I don't know, can everybody hear me?
You gotta use the microphone for the television.
We spent a lot of time
You
and.
just introduce yourself and your
Okay, I'm
address.
sorry.
Thank you.
I'm Tom Crook. I live on 1 Morse Road in Easton.
Yes.
Next to these fine folks who've spoken here tonight. We spent a lot of time on, and this is the north side. So if we go to the south, excuse me?
I'll just go to the actual, if it helps.
Yeah, go to the south. I just had a comment on the south side. So in respect to that, what's the variance? It has to be 100 feet from the road?
For a ground-mounted solar farm.
So this is considered ground-mounted, correct?
This is on the ground.
So this is 77? Okay, so this is going to stay at 77, or?
Well, the plan is for it to stay at 77. That's why we're in front of the Board of Appeals.
Okay. I was just curious.
If they were
Because
both,
I'm more on the south side that affects me.
yeah, so if they were 100 feet back, we wouldn't all be here tonight.
This is,
No, we wouldn't be having this hearing. They wouldn't be before us.
and this is the result of some careful planning.
Oh, yeah.
With the school, as well as our team, as well as with the utility,
This seems like a great project, and I understand the passion behind it. And it's just, and I don't know when everybody else really understood what was happening. I think it was pretty late in the process, right? So that's our position on it. I appreciate everybody's hard work and what's trying to do here. And maybe I'm getting confused between appeal and why we're even doing it to begin with. So maybe that's another board. I'm not sure. But I understand the importance. But, I think, and the last thing I'll say, and it's probably not to anything to do with this board. So we look from the town of Easton, which I've been here for 20 years now. And my wife and I, as long as we ever lived, and we really feel it's home. And we say, okay, Southeastern, great school. It's beautiful when you drive by. And from an aesthetic point of view, I'm just not sure how it's going to look. So, with that, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Grab the microphone
I
back.
have one more follow-up question that Tom just popped into my head. Because it is the school, we really had no appeal or notice when they opened up the other entrance. So
It's really not part of the.
I know, but how does that happen? Do we really have no say in this as well?
Of course, you're
here right now.
voicing your concerns. We're listening. We haven't voted on anything yet. We have
We had
the-
no vote when they opened up the other road.
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. Do you mind just addressing the sightline issue that was raised a couple of questions back, if that was looked at, and whether or not there are any sightline issues for cars traveling
absolutely.
from the, I don't know what direction we're talking now, from north
Yep.
to south, I guess?
Let's see.
You're going west to east.
So this is this is the view coming up on the southeastern side of Foundry Street.
Yep.
That's set back off the road there. This is coming up without the landscaping that we've discussed, to be clear, and without this row right here.
Right.
It's the original plan. So we're taking out this row and adding a row of Leyland cypress trees to best preserve the view that we can. But this is coming up here. So as you're coming up, I mean, I don't see how this would create a blind corner.
And sort of my follow-up question is that So that's the corner that you'd be coming around, and then
Correct.
the entranceway into the school. That's an entrance only, correct?
Correct. It is
No,
Yep.
no, no.
It is not. It's intended to be that, but
It's,
it's not.
it's marked as an entrance only,
Yep.
correct?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
We already have a lot of close calls.
I understand that. I can only work with what's intended, not what
I just wanted to let you know.
isn't necessarily in practice. I get it.
I'm sure you're
I
aware
get
of
it.
that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Quickly, if you will. It's more the speed of traffic on Boundary Street, as you know.
I get that too.
Just want to comment on whatever you plant there. If you're talking about trees that sound to me like they get quite big. I've lived in my home for 55 years and it looks nothing like it looked 55 years ago. So don't get carried away planting something that's going to go 80 feet tall.
Okay.
And just 50 feet beyond Sherry and Bill's house, the road tips down.
Right.
Completely, right in front of their home. So you can't see the traffic coming up the hill.
Yeah, there are some slight concerns.
Okay.
It's flat here, but it's not.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add? And would you, given the request by Mr. McCall, would you be willing to continue the hearing to address some of the issues that the Historical Commission raised and maybe do some different renderings for us to take a look at?
Sure. I really appreciate everybody's feedback tonight, and I understand where you're all coming from. I think we definitely want to address these concerns and, make the changes to this project that can still make it feasible, but also, make this work for the town of Easton as well. I think I'm open to, continuing this and coming back with what we propose as a landscaping plan to show how that would better impact, change the impact to the visual that we're looking at here. We'll also take out that front row and get us to a full 56 feet back on that northwestern side of the array. Beyond that, I think eliminating this portion of the project and adding to that southeastern lot is, I don't think that that's going to be something that's feasible for the project, unfortunately, just to manage expectations from everybody. Eliminating this section has a high likelihood of eliminating the project at large. So
Have you done a study on that particular question? In other words, have you considered, in a way that you could come back with definite figures that would show why it's not economically feasible to take out all of those arrays in that northwest corner?
yes, we can come back with that information from the utility to give a little bit more clarity, as to why we can't expand the project down there. We'd certainly like to if it was possible.
That was the initial plan, was to have it all down there.
Okay,
But the utility told us no.
okay, fair enough.
Okay, so I mean, I don't want to waste anybody's time.
I
I mean, if you said that the utility said no.
Correct.
Okay, so,
Right, our
Well, maybe
original plan
understanding
was to
why
cover
they
that
said no
whole-
would be helpful to us.
right.
Yeah. Tim, anything else?
No?
Steve? No. No? Ed?
If you're considering some type of a continuance, could you get the dB rating on that transformer?
Absolutely.
I'm with him, I'm kind of familiar with them myself, and they do have a noise level, and it'd be helpful to know what that actual noise level is expected to be.
Yep, we can do that.
Brent, I mean, I'm pretty familiar with that roadway, and those transformers look to me like they're gonna have, if the only traffic issue, excuse me, being brought up, I believe, is just because of the sight line of the transformer. I mean, there's obviously gonna be construction vehicles which are gonna add to the traffic, but that's pretty traffic-full area now. But then once they're in place, it wouldn't add to any traffic. But that traffic, that sight line coming from east to west with that transformer, I think your rendering is optimistic just from driving all the time, and I'd prefer to maybe see some actual pictures of what you would expect.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe, next time I'm driving or something. Someone brought up something, there's LED lighting underneath.
That's correct.
Is that a constant at night, when the, kind of takes the fun out of trying to produce all this power if you're just putting it into LED lighting?
LED lights are extremely efficient.
Right.
Those can go a very, very long time on a single bulb.
But
using very light.
that to me is, a major concern. Do we have any type of indication of what that's going to actually appear? Do we have any, can we do some type of a rendering, which way they're facing, how many lumens? I mean, can we get anything on that?
Sure, we can.
That, in the time, the schedule, are they
Yep.
on all night?
Yep.
Okay.
They already are. Absolutely.
Oh, you have them on all night, right now, they're already there.
All night long.
All right.
Are you adding, are you,
How much time do you need to get all this information?
Hang on.
are you adding to it, or are you replacing them? Excuse me.
You guys can all talk to each other outside, okay?
Are we adding to the LED, the existing lighting in the parking lot, or are we replacing the existing lighting in the parking lot? Does anybody know that?
We're gonna replace it,
Okay, so what's there now is gonna be replaced by LED.
correct, because it'll be low to the ground. We won't be coming from 40-foot poles.
And it'll be. I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
No, go right ahead.
The lights now that you see will be removed, and the lighting will be from underneath the actual canopy. So it should shield a little bit from, that light throw that you get now just off of the street lamps.
So am I safe to assume that when these go on timers, that parking lot will be left in the dark all night long? Because now you're telling me that you're taking the pole lights away, and the canopy lights will potentially go on timers, which means that you're telling me that that parking lot will be dark from 10, 11 o'clock at night till 4
We didn't.
If that's what you want.
I'm not
If you
sure.
don't mind, I'll just finish right up, and then I'll let somebody else have the mic. And just to, and can we get an accurate rendering of without the array and without the,
Yeah, he said he's gonna do
and
that.
you provide that, so
We're gonna adjust
more
the
or less
array.
just exactly what it is.
Yep, we're gonna adjust the array, we're gonna include the landscaping, remove that row, and we're also going to add a nighttime visual to show what we expect the
And
lights to
you-
look like and the decibels for the sound from the transformer as well.
And you're gonna swing by the Historical Commission and talk to them about their landscaping.
Correct.
Okay.
How much
A lot of
time-
stuff to
how
do.
much
Suzanne, when's our next hearing?
The next meeting is the 14th of May, and the one after that is June 18th.
Do you have a preference?
Yeah, we'd like to get this project. It's been a long time in the works. We'd like to get back in front of you guys on the 14th and hit the ground running on everything we need to do for this project.
Does that give you enough time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, when you do your other renderings, can you also render to see how much further you can go back with the transformers as well? Because I don't think they need to be exactly right at the road.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to continue the hearing
Motion to continue to next meeting, May 14th.
at 6:35? Okay, 6:35.
Seconded.
Motion made. Seconded by Mr. McCall. Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. All right, we'll see you on the 14th. Thanks very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Here's my schedule.
Who's got that other signature page?
What's that?
That other signature
I've got that. All right.
I'm in charge.
Our-
Jane Yeltsin.
Let things settle down. Quiet down here a second.
No problem.
Okay, yes.
6:40 hearing, special permit 19-3 for Chris Fitzsimmons. Applicant is seeking permission to demolish exterior walls and construction of an addition on the premises for property located at 20 Blackbrook Road.
Public,
28. You said 20.
28. Oh, did I say 20? 28. 28.
Okay, here's the announcement. The Easton Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April 23rd at the Easton Town Hall, Colleen A. Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Northeastern, Mass. On the following petition at 6:40 p.m. Special permit. Applicant Chris Fitzsimmons for property located at 28 Blackbrook Road, Easton, Assessor's Map 8R Lot 131 for a special permit pursuant to Easton Code Book Chapter 235 Zoning, Section 23556 and Section 235-23A. 2, applicant seeks permission to demolish exterior walls and construct an addition on the premises. This notice is also available at masspublicnotices.org. Comes the responses from the different boards, comments. The planning board voted unanimously to support the application. The environmental planner stated it's not applicable. The building department recommends, with the comment of voluntary demolition down to existing floor joists, 2-story rebuild with 2-car garage addition on a 30,000 square foot lot. Board of Health recommends. Police department recommends. Fire department complete, no concern from fire department. Water division recommends. Historical Commission, not applicable. Affordable housing, not applicable. And those are the comments.
Members sitting on the board, to my far left, Mr. Jeremy Kay. To my immediate left, John Curran. To my right, Tim McCall. And to his right, Steve Merlin. Go right ahead, sir.
Hello, I'm Chris Fitzsimons. I'm a resident of Easton. We purchased the property about almost a year ago. We had the intention of remodeling it on the same footprint as it is. We did a remodel at number 72 Blackbrook Road last year. Pretty similar home. We got a building permit. We started work on it, and when we started the demolition on the property, there was a lot more damage to the property than we had originally anticipated. When we tore down some walls, there was a lot of rot in there, a lot of dry rot, and a lot of structural problems with the property. So we drew up a new set of plans. We decided to add a 2-car garage, and to make the floor plan a little bit more livable, a little bit more space in it, we decided to tear the roof off and go up a second level. Still going to be 3 bedrooms as it was before. The first floor is going to be a nicer layout, and we were told by the building department that we'd need to get a special permit rather than just a regular building permit, and then that's why we're here today.
Steve, any questions?
No.
Tim?
Just a question. This addition is going to be the garage, and the cars are going to be coming in straight in, not coming off the side, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And the carport will be demolished and removed?
Yeah, that's not really a carport. It's more like a tent that's back
Just
there
what
right
it's labeled
now.
as?
Yeah,
So,
that's going to
yeah.
go away.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's going away. The shed is staying?
There's no shed there right now.
It's labeled on the plan, that's why. I'm
Okay, there might have been a shed there in the past. It might have got collapsed or whatever, but when we bought the property, there was no shed on there.
All right, go on. I don't have any other questions.
John?
No questions.
Jeremy?
What is non-conforming about it now?
It's a 30,000 square foot lot.
And it's supposed to be 40,000?
40, yeah.
40, yeah.
Yep.
There's no variance required for any of the setbacks or anything. Everything's within the proper guidelines.
Got it.
I don't have any questions either. If there's nothing you want to add, we can close and vote.
Nothing I want to add, only that the house that's there right now is pretty derelict condition, and I think it'll be an improvement to the neighborhood when everything's cleaned up. And we would have started it months ago, but we had to stop after we were told we had to get the special permit. So there's a lot of construction debris right there right now, but we want to clean up that lot and make it nice.
Sounds good.
Do you want to make a motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. McCall, seconded by Mr. Merlin. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? 5-0. Anybody want to make a motion on the application?
Move we approve.
Motion made by Mr. Merlin to approve.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Curran. Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Good luck.
Signatures coming up.
Thank you very much.
6:45 hearing. Special permit 19-4, Brian Haynes and Caitlin Haynes. Applicant seeking permission to reconstruct a pre-existing legal non-conforming structure on property located at 44 Day Street.
All right, let me just find that.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Frederick Cassavant on behalf of the applicants.
Hang on just a
Let
second.
me
We've
read
gotta
the notice,
in the-
sorry.
in the comments, so.
The Easton Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April 23rd at the Easton Town Hall, Colleen A. Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Northeastern, Massachusetts, on the following petition at 6:45 PM. Special permit, Brian Haynes and Caitlin Haynes for property located at 42 Day Street, Easton, Mass. Assessors map 16U lot 66 for a special permit pursuant to Easton Code Book, Chapter 235 zoning, Section 235-21. Applicant seeks permission to reconstruct, extend, alter, or change a pre-existing legal non-conforming structure. This notice is also available at masspublicnotices.org. Here are the comments from the various boards. Make sure I get all of them. Starting with the planning board, they voted unanimously to recommend. Building department recommends. Police department recommends. Fire department says complete, no concerns. Historical commission, at their January, they say not applicable. Put notes in there. Affordable Housing Trust, not applicable. Did I say conservation? I don't think they were involved anyway, so that's it.
All right, you're up. Go right ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Frederick Cassavant on behalf of the applicants. Thank you for having us. Good evening to the rest of the board. I'm an attorney assisting the applicants through this permitting process. The property's at 44 Day Street. The property itself, currently there's a...
I may not have. Steve, Tim, John, and Ed. Go ahead.
Sure. Currently, there's a three-family home there and a barn. It's a pre-existing non-conforming as to the lot area. It's 38,550 square feet. As you know, the bylaw is 40,000. Also, the barn on the property is less than 25 feet from Day Street, so that's another non-conformity. The request Haynes are making, they're looking for a special permit under section 235-21 in order to add on to the existing home. It's a patio, two-car garage, screen room, and a new barn. All but the patio would be attached to the existing structure. There should be some plans submitted showing you what it is now and what it's proposing to do. I do have some larger copies if you need them. So basically, the Haynes are really looking to add some additional space to the house they grow in family. No additional bedrooms, and just really to modernize the home. I'd suggest to the board that these proposed alterations, extensions, won't create any nonconformities to the property, and they're not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Also, the movement of the barn from its current location will actually remove that nonconformity because they'll be within the 25 feet at that point.
Okay.
And that's, again, depicted on that plan. So, and again, I believe the town departments that weighed in were either neutral or in favor of the project. So we'll request a special permit at this time. If there's any questions for myself or Mr. Haynes, he's here as well. We'll be happy to answer them.
Ed, any questions?
May I see the larger plans?
What's that?
I'll figure it out.
In the, these things,
Thank
yeah.
you.
You got the...
I might just be a minute.
I only have
Mr.
one
Chairman.
question.
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry.
Might be, just maybe a minute.
Oh, all right.
A quick question.
Go ahead, Tim.
Is there going to be a driveway? Because I see the garage here. This whole area is going to be, intended to be the driveway, this outline? It's just not labeled, that's why
Yes,
I assume so.
Brian Haynes.
How you? So this whole area here would be, you know, hardscape driveway, you'd have access from Sheridan Street? Is that the
Yes,
plan?
this exists currently. The driveway would actually probably be reduced. It doesn't
This
show
is-
here.
Yeah, see, they
That's the
didn't.
underlying.
All right, so that's already existing.
This whole pavement exists.
It exists now.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, they should have put it on this one too, but I don't have any other questions.
That's it. Steve, any questions?
None. Full in the China shop today. You had said the, I'm sorry.
You ready?
Apologize, Mr.
You ready
Chairman.
now? All right, go ahead.
I'm ready. You'd said the new barn is going to be within the 25-foot setback, or past the 25-foot setback, whereas now it's in 21.
Yeah,
So you're going to be backing
right
up.
now. So we'll remove the non-conformity.
Reducing or
remove that.
removing the nonconformity.
Okay. Thank you.
John?
I have no questions.
I don't have any questions either. You guys good? Motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close.
Motion to close the hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Martin, if you can just use the microphone again. Reintroduce yourself, address.
Mr. Martin, if you want to look at the big ones, they're a lot better.
I got good eyes.
Okay. Well, I couldn't
If I
see
could
them.
take a
This is the existing one. This is you over here.
Yeah.
This is the existing house, and then there's the existing barn.
What's that?
That is a new, now if we go to the new one, that looks like a new garage on this, on the Sheridan side.
This is planned to be a single?
A single-family home.
No, three-family.
I'm sorry,
Three-family.
three-family home. Yeah. Right.
We did that a
Well,
couple of years ago.
I will miss the barn. I'm a lover of old barns, and I'd like to know why it needs to be taken down for 4
Because
feet.
they want a bigger one.
Okay. Well, can you guarantee me that Halloween will not change? Oh, okay. So you'll still have a party in the new garage? Okay, I'm okay.
Too bad you don't get a vote. Okay.
All right.
We'll still make that a condition.
Yeah, we will. Motion to close the hearing?
Seconded.
You want to make the motion?
Motion to close the hearing.
All right.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Watson, seconded by Mr. Curran. All those in favor? 5-0. Motion to act on it. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Watson,
Yes.
seconded by Mr. Merlin. You gotta be quicker. Any objection? Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Tell Walt,
This is coming around.
tell Walter
Good
I
luck.
said aye.
That's a hell of a project.
He didn't want to come too soon?
Still within that year.
Too soon.
Approved.
Thank you, gentlemen. Off to the door.
All right, have a good night. Anybody get a score?
These are done already?
That one's done.
Did
Okay, we
to
have
approve the meeting minutes?
to make a motion to approve meeting minutes from our March meeting.
Oh.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from March meeting.
Made by Mr. Watson,
Seconded.
seconded by Mr. McCall. All those in favor? 5-0. Real brief update on, if I can find this.
The Meadowview comments?
Andrew's not coming, correct? All right. Meadowview and Easton Dale. Just to provide the board with an update, as of April 5th, Easton Dale at 121 Pine Street, street now named Lennox Lane, pre-construction meeting was held on September 27, 1918. Site cleared and erosion controls have been put in place, inspected, promptly repaired when needed. Building department has issued foundation permits for units 1 through 7 Lennox Lane and the clubhouse building. The clubhouse buildings is labeled the Commons on the site plan. Latest invoice for Woodward and Curran has been submitted for period ending March 1st, 2019 for setting construction scheduling based on Woodward and Curran's Task Order 108. Meadowview, 310, 318 Turnpike Street, pre-construction meeting was held on April 3rd, of 2019. Erosion controls have been put in place and inspected. Construction financing to be finalized soon for construction to start within the month. Woodard and Curran Task Order 109 is being modified based on the construction phasing discussed at pre-construction meeting, and applicant's initial $3,000 deposit into the 53G account is outstanding. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
No, none.
At the moment? Okay, then there's nothing for us to do at the moment, other than to...
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, correct, which I'll take that as a motion from Mr. Merlin.
Seconded.
Seconded by everyone else. All those in favor? 5-0.
Go Bruins.
1-0.
Up or down?
Up.
Nice.
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 And I've been yelling at them for playing them every night, every game.
It's about 3 minutes left in the first period.
Who got the goal? George.
Village.
Oh.
I read it correctly.
Take care, folks.
To it. Take
Thank
care.
you, everyone.